This afternoon we're with Chris Keeper, Aware's Vice President of Client Delivery. Good afternoon, Chris.
Hello.
There's an awful lot to consider when venturing into web globalization. How would you recommend a business get started?
Yes, definitely a lot to consider, and it can be very daunting, very overwhelming, but there are a couple of key ways you can get started that do take some planning and some thinking, but if you can establish these three things, then you'll be well on your way to getting an effective global strategy going. So the first one is really to figure out your corporate strategy for doing web globalization. And what I mean by that is really targeting the reason and the vision behind why you're reaching out beyond your borders, why you're reaching out to a global audience. What is the vision behind that? What are you looking to achieve? And a lot of that can come down to key markets that you need to do business in. Either you're already doing business there or you have interested customers that want to do business with you. So understand that market, understand the audience, what they're looking to achieve, what they're looking to do. Very important. Beyond that, be thinking very hard about your internal key stakeholders. So who are they? Who's going to be advantageous to this strategic initiative? Who might actually get in the way and be possibly create a roadblock to the direction that you need to take your website? So if you can create an advanced team who you can gain alignment around and a shared vision for your web, you'll be a leg up, believe me, a year or two down the road. So that's the first piece that I would always recommend. The second is to really get a sense for the reality of what you're dealing with in your business. So what are the rules and what are the restrictions, and even what are the limitations that you have to face on a day-to-day basis? And a great example of that is product availability. Now, there are some countries where we have restrictions on certain products being distributed or even services for whatever legal reason. And so you need to really get a sense for what those restrictions are so that the team that's deploying your websites really knows how they need to be constructed and architected. And it's that kind of information you don't want to learn on the fly. You really want to have a plan in place for that early on. And then the third thing I would say that you really will give you a leg up to getting started is just to understand your technology platform. So you don't necessarily have to obsess about the technology at this point, because we often say at Aware that the technology is not always the final solution. It's not the hardest part. It's usually the easiest part of what you need to deploy for your website, but it does need to have some core capabilities such as multilingual. It needs the ability to version content and to support very simple workflow processes for translation if you choose to go that route. So definitely consider your technology, but don't get held up on which technology very early on. Kind of let that work itself out as you gather your requirements and you figure out what you need to be doing. But always start with a strategy. That's kind of one of Aware's general rule of thumbs. And then base that in what you currently have for reality. And then always don't forget about the technology platform. So I think if you start with those three things, you're well on your way to getting a truly long-term globalized vision.
Chris, that was excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.